Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 4 of The Verge of the Azure Sea. My name is Brianna. I'm going to be the game master for tonight's session, and I'm very excited to have this group all back together. I would like to start with going around the table, having everyone say hello, say who they're playing tonight. Why don't we go ahead and start with Alan?
Uh, Hi, I'm Alan. You can find me on Twitter at robo_EP. I'm going to be playing El Guerrero.
Fantastic. Next up, Fluffy.
I had things double muted. Sorry. Hi, I'm Fluffy. You can find me on Twitter at Fluffy Snowfall. You can also find me on Hive at Fluffy Snowfall, just in case. And I am playing Aoife McKenna, who is making the very good decision to go home alone at night when there's a dangerous monster out because feelings got hurt.
The real Vaesen or the hurt feelings we had along the way. Next up, let's go over to Kelsey.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey, and I am playing Saoirse Selig. She is a country doctor who is actually a fan of the Vaesen and wants to know why some of them are acting up and having some issues.
Perfect. Next up, Isabel.
I'm Isabel. I am playing Vera Lindblom, private investigator, who is here to solve the couple mysteries that just keep falling into her lap, and also maybe some mysteries from her past. You can find me at Isabel is okay on pretty much all social media, Twitter, Hive if it ever starts working on my Android. I'll switch over. But until then, I'm still hanging out on Twitter. So yeah, you can follow me there.
Perfect. And Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Durnesk. You can find me at Durnesk pretty much anywhere on the internet. I'm having the same Hive issue. So I'll be there again eventually. And yeah, I'm playing Biddy, the little old occultist witch of the village.
Fantastic. And the last of our investigators, Adam.
Hello, I am Adam Turns Heel. I am playing Donald Hatterson, and as you all know, if you've watched it already, everything is my fault. You can find me on social media everywhere as Adam Turns Heel, also on Hive, also on Twitter's as long as I'm able to. It gets me work, unfortunately, so I still have to go on there. But you'll also find me at Adam Turns Heel everywhere else.
Wonderful. So, with the last session, we ended on an interesting note, to say the least. To be concise of everything, these two groups did eventually meet from very different locations. One initially starting in Roundstone, Ireland, but eventually traveling up to the northwest to where they're currently located in Clifton. As it stands right now, we have people leaving Biddy's residence, and they're not all headed in the same direction. Now, just as a reminder, the larger group, where are you currently headed?
Towards the scene of the crime, right? Towards where the body was found. Is that the consensus? I think.
Believe so.
Fantastic. So that would have Vera, El Guerrero, Biddy, Dolan, and Saoirse. Whereas Aoife and oh my goodness, Rory, your loyal hound, is following along with you. Aoife, where are you headed? Is there a specific location?
Honestly, probably having a bit of wandering, really kind of disassociating for a little bit. She will be intending to head home, but realistically, she is probably heading to the Moore house.
Fantastic. Now, Aoife, before we dive into this, would you please make a vigilance check for me?
All right.
With this, I do believe you'll get a bonus with Rory being present with you.
Yeah. +3, I think. Let me double check
I
here
believe
quick.
so, as he's a hunting dog.
Yeah. So 1 plus. Sorry, it's been a while.
It's not a problem.
3 plus 3, so 6.
Good pool.
1 success.
One success. Okay. I will keep that in mind. The larger group. As you're heading over to the bog, is it just directly there? Any stops along the way?
Can't
I don't
imagine that
think
there's
so.
any there.
Yeah, I think we would be pretty focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Donald is walking with a little more purpose than usual
Mhm.
after that scene.
Understandably so. So as you're heading out towards the bog where several of you had already been, just less than 24 hours ago at this point, and much different circumstances. The air around you is getting a bit cooler. You're noticing as the sun is starting to get lower in the sky. It's a interesting discomfort. It's maybe for those of you who are already aware of type of weather to expect, it's not as bad, but it seems unnaturally chilly at this point in time. It doesn't take you long from where Biddy's located to get to the bog, and over to the location where you recall seeing the body. There is still some blood that you do see pooled on the ground. It does appear to have been attempted to be cleaned up, but some stains are going to stay there for a bit. What is everyone doing?
I think we
I-
should approach with caution, because there were some tracks that I think the two of you might want to take a look at.
Okay. If Biddy gives us that warning, then I think Vera will start investigating the scene, starting from the edges and then moving in so we don't disturb anything as we go.
And I believe we had, examined some tracks, so I assume we could, show
Yeah.
them the same things.
Yeah, I think that maybe on the way, I'm assuming you could have, told us exactly what you had initially found that first night.
Would have caught you all up.
Fantastic. As the information is shared, and you're pointing out the tracks that you had located, you do see they're still present at this time. Doesn't appear that anyone's attempted to hide them or even walked over them to where they've become a little bit less distinct in the ground. Vera, I'm gonna go ahead and have you make a investigation check. You will get a bonus of +1 because of Biddy's assistance and showing you where they were located initially.
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit of an annoying player right now, but
Okay.
my investigation is 8, and then I get a +1 from help, but then also if I use my magnifying glass, I have another +1. So
Mhm.
can I roll 10 dice right now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Please,
Are you
that's
sure you
not
got enough there?
annoying. That's great.
I'm a detective. Oh my gosh. Okay, 1 success. Wow, that's so
Ooh.
bad.
Wow.
So many 1s and 5s. Just
Oh, wow.
all 1s, 5s, 2 4s, and 1 success.
Well, one's all you needed for this.
I needed that help from Biddy. I think that was Biddy pointing something out to me.
No, over here, darling.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm gonna say.
So
I'm gonna
as
start second guessing my hire as a private detective.
I don't show it on my face.
Okay, then I don't notice.
I'm a professional. Not gonna
Oh,
let you
then I'm
know.
gonna be more like, oh wow, she really is so good.
That's a
Yeah,
savage
just-
luchador right there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, Vera, as you were assessing some of the tracks that you'd found and a little bit of additional guidance from Biddy and redirection, El Guerrero was none the wiser in that. You are very comfortable. This is your element. You're in it. I will say, though, now, while you're seeing the tracks that you see, these aren't necessarily tracks, but very distinct lines in the ground from where the body was clearly being dragged, as his feet were being dragged through some of the mud and dirt that's accumulated within this area. You notice that the tracks do seem to be coordinated with that. There are some of these cloven hoof marks, his prints, that are, interestingly enough, they seem to change. Ones that were a little bit larger eventually become smaller in size.
Mm.
And you see as the ones
But they
that
stay
trail
the
leads-
same.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
They stay the same shape.
Same shape, different sizes.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, it's not a problem.
Okay.
So, but yes, they same shape, different sizes. They decrease in size at what it appears to be as they gotten closer to where the body was left, right near the small mushroom circle. And eventually, the smaller prints take off further into the bog.
Okay. Vera takes out her notebook and is writing this down and explaining what she just discovered to the group. And she says, I'm wondering, I think first we should probably take precautions and maybe follow these tracks, but additionally, Saoirse, do you know of any Vaesen that change size?
Well, actually, I was going to interject and ask you more about that. Did you say it was cloven hoof prints and they seem to change size? And I'm flipping through my notebook. It might be a fuka. It might be. Should I make any roll to see? Because I know that I know what fukas are, but should I make any rolls for that, Bree?
Absolutely. I would go ahead and, as this is calling on past knowledge, I'll have it be a learning check.
Okay. That is going to be one success.
One success. So as you're looking over your past notes, experiences, stories that you've heard from people regarding the pukas, yes, they also do often have cloven hooves when they're considered to be in their true form. Though, as they're shapeshifters by nature, their form changes frequently. And who's to say if that's its true one? Most of the time, you feel as though it's been mostly playful, prank-like in nature. They tend to flee confrontation of any kind and mainly show up to be, well, to be frank, annoying.
So it's interesting because it makes me think of a fuka. The hoof shapes seem right, and the whole changing of the shape seems right because they do shapeshift. But I don't think that a fuka really tried to murder a man in cold blood. They're a little too, I don't want to say docile, but they tend to be dear sweet boys, if you know what I mean. And are we sure that the fuka is what actually killed him? Was there an eyewitness that saw the fuka kill him, or was the fuka running away after seeing something else? Or the fuka try to pull him out of something?
Dolan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you saw anything. You just found the body, correct?
Well, there was a form, but mainly just saw footprints, and there was a lot happening that night.
Did it look like the way the body was dragged? Was that the police moving the body, or did it look like the body was killed elsewhere and dragged? There.
Well, certainly the drag marks were there before the police.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
It was
body
definitely
moved
dragged there.
elsewhere. And
Hey.
from my investigation, I can tell that these hoof prints didn't drag the body because they're coming from elsewhere and they're getting smaller as they approach where the body was dragged.
No, I apologize if I didn't
Oh, okay.
say that.
Vice versa?
Yes, opposite. It looks as though the
they were the ones
the
dragging it. But so they were like getting smaller and pulling the body at the same time.
Yes.
Or at least their footprints were decreasing in size.
That's correct.
Interesting.
I believe I had done several weeks ago a knowledge check of my own on the tracks.
Yes.
Would what they're saying jive with what I know, or should I roll again?
I will have you roll again.
Okay. Intelligence. What am I rolling?
It'll be a learning.
Learning. Okay. Ugh, not my strongest suit.
Can I help by just like listing off what I've been discovering about the tracks in any way?
I like that. If you're being essentially a
So,
sounding
like-
board for Biddy, I will grant
Yeah,
plus
to like
one.
refresh her memory, like just be like, okay, so this is what we know, this is where they came from, like just to try and like help her recall.
Absolutely.
Would I be able also be able to help with any details I might recall?
I think so.
Well, I
Let's
can roll
Dolan-
one more
yeah.
dice, but it hasn't been good so far.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No.
As I'm trying to recall, I will grant an additional +1 for Dolan. This is mainly to determine if there's additional information that's going to be provided from what Vera has just covered.
Well,
There are certain
thank
things-
very much to Dolan. There is one success now in my
One
little
success.
dice box.
Hey!
Okay, fantastic. So, essentially what Vera is pointing out so far is a bit more in-depth than what you initially had noticed. You'd seen what appeared to be 2 sets of prints that now you're leading to believe were just that they appeared to be 2 at a glance until a closer inspection. It was the same pathway, same creature, different sizes, as they were like the transition of some sort.
Got it. So instead of it being 2 different things, it's just the one.
Yes.
And were there tracks leading away, or just are there any of the prints that go the other way?
There
Yeah,
are
the smaller ones. Right?
Yes. So,
Okay.
So as
So
it
it
was
starts big, gets small, and then small go away. Sorry.
Exactly. Yes.
Great.
If you continue to follow
Okay.
them, that may change. But as far as what you've
Yeah.
surveyed in this area, it
Mm.
seems like they're smaller tracks.
Well, it could be. We're thinking logically, and if you don't believe what this might be was the one that did the killing, it's certainly possible it could have dragged it from somewhere and just wanted the body to be either discovered or not where it had been killed.
It's possible. I don't know. The Fuka, they seem harmless. They mainly just like to prank creatures for their own entertainment. I mean, you can hardly blame them. They're such a social type of creature, of course. Those are the types of games they play with each other when they grow up.
Well,
Well, this is a cruel
a
game.
lot of people are playful and become murderers, so I don't think we can judge the entire species of Fuka based on, I think we just need more information. I think I would like to follow the tracks further into the bog, but I wouldn't blame any of you, and I'm sort of looking at like Biddy and Dolan. Like if you want to stop here, that's perfectly all right. But
No,
I
we have to figure this out.
El
Okay.
Guerrero, can you make a
Dolan's
vigilance-
looking very like stoic. He's doing things like he's never done, like weird things. Like he thinks would help the investigation. Like he's even inhaling through his nose and smelling to see if he can get any kind of smells, even though it probably isn't going to do too much. But it's like a lot of unorthodox things to try and help out the investigation to try and figure this out, even though he doesn't have a lot of experience in it.
Good to know. Dolan, I like that. So if you would go ahead and make I'll have this be your choice if it's going to be an investigation or an observation skill check. It's up to you. While you're doing that, El Guerrero, can you make a vigilance check for me?
Oh boy.
fairies about?
5.
I'm gonna do this a little unusually because observation.
1, 6.
Oh, I'm so
One of
sorry. What
them.
was that?
I got 1 success.
1 success for vigilance. Fantastic. And Dolan?
Well, I'm actually gonna do the dice pool that uses the least amount of dice because of my inexperience. He's also a little drunk.
That's also a good point.
But he's just like very affected by Aoife's words. So let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, and those successes.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Dolan?
I tried. No successes.
No successes? Okay. Thank
Oh.
you. For what it's worth.
It would have been 1 success if I used the other one. I
I
checked it.
I cannot say how much I appreciate and respect making the suboptimal decision in the name of character. It's fantastic. We'll come back to that. El Guerrero, as you're kind of maybe listening in on the conversation between Vera, Biddy, Saoirse, and Dolan, as you notice in your peripherals, kind of starting to walk around, and you hear him like loudly sniffing, like he's inhaling, and kind of attempting some unorthodox investigation practices. Something out of the corner of your eye grabs your attention, and because you kind of glance over, it's towards the small ring of mushrooms, the circle. And it's just an odd moment, and you've seen this once or twice before. A faint glow. It's almost like a small line has appeared. It appears, almost goes straight up in the air, and as it's occurring back down to the ground, it fades away. Almost like a small door.
I'm definitely gonna yell out, "What the hell was that?" and like point.
Anyone who glances over there, I would say this would have to be a vigilance check for everyone as well, just based on the speed.
Dolan sees a squirrel.
Oh man, a suspicious squirrel though, right?
All squirrels are suspicious.
That's true.
I don't trust them. They can fit nuts in their mouth like no other.
Oof, bad roll. I rolled 7 dice and I got no successes.
Oh my god.
Oh
I'm
no!
rolling bad. I'm rolling bad tonight, you guys.
No successes for me either.
None? Okay.
Oh no.
None here either.
Oh my god.
I'm too old. I can't see that fast.
We're all so shaken by Aoife. Like, she just emotionally shook us to our core.
Are you
Just need the dog here.
okay?
Yeah, what
It
happened?
looks
What did
normal.
you see? Was there something there?
I saw something, and I don't even describe it. I kind of do like with my finger, like the arch thing.
Mhm.
That's all I do. I saw something like this.
Was it an object? Did it run away? Was it just disappear?
Yeah, it just disappeared over there, and I point at the mushrooms.
I'd like to take a look at the mushrooms, not touching them.
Absolutely. I would say no check necessary. It's been brought to your attention. If you go kind of closer to it and are inspecting it, being careful not to touch them. After a while, it
magnifying
seems
glass out.
Initially it just seems like dirt, some light vegetation aside from the mushrooms, and then maybe a minute later, it just seems like there's an odd, for lack of a better term, a shimmer that occurs. And just as soon as it appears, it disappears again. If you focus on it, you notice this happens maybe once every 2-3 minutes. As though what you're seeing in this world is being affected by something else.
Cautious.
Yes. Curious. I described that to the group, and I think I turned to Saoirse, like, you think some kind of gateway, or do you think something's trying to get through?
Should I make any rolls to answer that, or?
I would have this be a... Let's have this one be a learning or an inspiration. Primarily related to the fact that you've seen fairies before.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to see anything in particular right now?
Yes, if you were watching as well, you would see that same thing occurring. Anyone who's paying attention at this point would see it. However, Biddy, would you also make a learning check for me?
Yeah.
And I had 3 successes.
3? 6? Okay, so with multiple successes on some of these skill checks, there are some cool benefits that you can use them for. For a learning, did you roll learning or inspiration?
Learning.
Learning? Okay, fantastic. So,
More dice.
let's see here. We're going to be getting a little bit more info this time around.
I got nothing. Old lady is distracted and disturbed.
It happens.
We're all distraught this morning.
Mm-hmm. So, Saoirse, this is somewhat related to your own past experiences. There is literally a mushroom circle outside of your front door. This isn't unusual in the sense of something that'd be alarming towards you. It caught El Guerrero off guard. It maybe seems a bit more appropriate that it's occurring here. It's not so much your own experiences or even like something typically like from a studious perspective of this is what I know about like the fair folk as Vaesen specifically. This is stuff that starts kind of coming to the forefront of your thoughts when it comes to stories that you've heard. These can be old tales, talks of the parallel worlds to your own, where in certain locations, such as circles like these, or even certain specific times, the veil between the two grows thinner. That's what you think might be occurring here.
Well, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but I believe the veil between our world and another world is particularly thin right now, which is likely related to whatever incident affected your friend the other night.
Certainly seemed to be the case. Well, don't stick your hand in it. I don't recommend that to start with. It does worry me, though.
How do we break it?
That's what I was just about to ask. I was like, would I have any particular knowledge of, like, closing doorways like that within, like, naturally occurring fairy circles versus doors I open?
Understood.
You guys say out loud that you're gonna break it?
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking first. I'm asking the goddess of our realm.
Outside. Yes.
Did Dolan ask that specifically?
Yeah. Absolutely, and if anyone's looking at him, his hand is near his pistol.
Okay.
I'd like to sort of put out like a calming, like non-threatening hand out towards Dolan. Say, I look at between Biddy and Saoirse and El Guerrero, who I know all are familiar with the supernatural. And I just say, wait a minute. First of all,
Can't shoot it, Dolan. Sorry,
yes.
real quick, can we pause though so I can get an answer from
Sorry.
our
Right.
deity?
So Biddy, there's no check necessary for it. The doors that you open are very different than these doors.
Yeah.
This door is not something that you believe you or anyone else here would be able to necessarily control. These are pathways that you'll stumble across that you, all as Thursday's children with the sight, are able to see. Those without the sight would not be noticing this.
Okay. Well, again, don't shoot it, Dolan. I don't know
So
that that'll
don't-
do any good, but
Also, don't disturb the circle. We don't want to invite something in that isn't already here. And if, as Saoirse was saying, there's something in the timing of this that is causing the veils to close, as we were walking here, there is a circle of circles surrounding this bog.
Oh yes, it's a big problem. Yes.
So
What do you
In
mean?
there
all my time, I have never seen anything like that.
as
What do
we
you mean?
were investigating previously, we were walking through the bog. We were investigating these rabbits. We came across at the points where these rabbits were being ritualistically sacrificed, if that's what was happening, or perhaps just killed for something's amusement. This was always occurring at these doorways. Maybe this is... Saoirse, do you know, is there anything in this season or this time that would cause the veils to thin, or do you think maybe these two things are connected and these rabbits are causing the thinning of the veil?
Should I make a roll for that at all?
Learning, please. A
What time
learning
of year
check,
is it?
please.
also.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is late spring, early summer currently.
Between solstices or close to one?
Between.
Equinox?
2 successes.
2 successes? Okay. So there is not necessarily something specific about this time of year that's sticking out to you, especially as someone who is attuned with a particular power who requires some sort of gift on specific times. It's not quite lining up, especially knowing that this has been occurring over the past 2-ish weeks, at least from what your contact with Vera, the hunter, had mentioned. The thing that sort of stands out to you is that you feel like a few years or several years prior, there was something similar that you had heard of. It was occurring then as well. But some dismissed it, especially in your town, as rumor, superstition, stuff they weren't concerned about. But it was about 7 years ago.
You know, interestingly enough, I believe 7 years ago, yes, 7. Something very similar to this was happening, but you can imagine in the area I'm from, people were sort of saying it was a superstition or it was an old wives' tale, and they were sort of ignoring the things even if they had the ability to see them. So this might be something cyclical. This might be something very naturally occurring, and I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the ritual sacrifices, because of anything that seems additional.
How many
Interesting.
years ago did Dolan's brother go missing?
Also, yeah, I was gonna ask, what year is it now?
So it is 1872.
Okay.
El
7.
Guerrero,
Odd.
as a note, someone you know went missing 7 years ago.
Do I know that? Because I've
You
been
would
trying to
know.
help you. Did you tell me that? Okay.
Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, El Guerrero, I will leave that up to you.
Yeah.
Mm,
You let me know if you told me or not. Because you've been pretty holding back, but that's pretty critical. Because
all right, I'll let you know. I feel like I
it's
would
okay
let you
if your character wouldn't have. That's totally fine.
know. No, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you want to just roll
Yeah.
evens or odds?
It's more. I don't let you know me. I let you know
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would let her know.
Okay. I just look at El Guerrero at the mention of 7 years and sort of put a hand on your shoulder.
I remain stoic.
Yes. We stoically stare at each other, and I
Yeah.
just sort of nod, knowing that you know how important this is. So I'll just let you take your time with it.
The emotions on your mask are very telling.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want us to obviously interfere with that, but if you wanted to investigate further, it would seem the most obvious answer is to follow the tracks further in and see if we can discover where the body originated.
Agree. I don't think we're at the murder scene right now. Let's continue on.
Fantastic.
And Dolan, try to keep your hand off the trigger.
If
Can
that
we
thing
tell
becomes a
he's
danger,
drunk?
Dolan, are you
Um,
attempting to hide it?
You might be pretty even keeled, so
it's not like it's not trash. It's
yeah.
it's more of a active buzz.
Isn't it mid-morning? Where did you get alcohol?
I have ways.
He just has a crate under his robes, just
Yeah. I mean, they definitely have a hip flask on me.
I don't think I've seen you drink, so I'm not gonna say anything yet.
we just think
Wow.
you're just a really chill guy.
Yeah, I've never met you before, so I wouldn't know.
This is just you.
No, I like yeah, I'm very high strung right now, so but like at the same time just like hyperactive right now, just determined to find whoever did this.
While they're talking, I've already started to follow the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll go with Saoirse.
Follow after, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dylan does take his hand off the trigger for now, but
I would like to say I'm keeping an eye on Dolan,
I'm gonna. Oh
like
man.
specifically.
No, I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna whisper to Dolan, like, keep that trigger finger happy.
Do I hear that?
I hope not.
Oh, okay. So we're attempting to conceal that, El Guerrero. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you make a stealth check. Vera, this is going to
Oh,
be
no, what is it?
your choice of either observation or vigilance.
you say it to me in Spanish, by the way.
Okay, I'm gonna do vigilance.
You want me to say it in Spanish?
Did you?
I'm just wondering if you did.
He wouldn't understand. So
You know
I just
what? I
think
would
that'd be
say it in
awesome.
Spanish,
It
just to,
doesn't.
but I don't know
It
how to
doesn't
say
matter.
it.
It doesn't matter. I'm rolling so bad tonight.
Oh,
So
no. That
Good,
I
I got
noticed.
I got one. I got one success.
Yes.
I
mean-
rolled 7 dice, and the number of 2s here is upsetting.
Better to get it out now than when it's a
Yeah, life or
tense
death.
moment.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I just carry on, but I am keeping an eye on Dolan.
Okay. So.
Saoirse's in the lead.
Yes.
Off the trigger and near the hip flax. Just
Fantastic. As your group is heading further into the bog, I am going to cut back over to Aoife. Now, Aoife, the earlier vigilance check that you made, you had 1 success. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Fantastic. As you and Rory are taking the path back to like the main section of town, it's starting to get a little bit colder out. It's getting a little bit. Thankfully, there are light sources, but the sun's starting to fall. You notice at one point, as you're still a bit more on the outskirts, not quite into the area where you'd be at the Moore residence, Rory, a big dog, it's very difficult to miss even the slightest movement that this dog makes. There's a slight pause, and at one point, like, you see on the back of Rory's neck, like, first starts kind of standing up a bit more, and the slight growl emanates as it starts to be looking off. Probably would be towards your west, technically, at this point. Into a forested area that is runs into the bog. Essentially, the bog is not quite as covered as this forested area is, but his focus is over in that area currently. What would you like to do?
Does he seem nervous, defensive?
Defensive, definitely.
Okay. Is someone out there?
Did you hear your voice slightly echo? Someone's walking down the street that you see, kind of stops, looks over, realizes you weren't talking to them, and continues. Would you go ahead and make a... I'm going to have this be one more vigilance check.
Sure.
Primarily just for the awareness of your surroundings.
Second, sorry.
Not a problem.
So nervous.
Two successes.
Fantastic. Okay, so with that check, you don't hear a voice calling back out to you. There's no acknowledgement in that sense. What you do hear is the sound of footsteps and some slight, what sounds like almost like a twig breaking. And it catches your attention as you're noticing a figure. It looks like, at first glance, some sort of deer. And as you're looking closer, you recognize it. It's a red deer. Not entirely uncommon for this area. But it is a bit close. That's looking at you.
I don't have any food for you, so you're gonna have to keep moving on.
Its ears, as you notice, flutter slightly. And it starts walking further in. You will
Wait,
get
further in
further
to the...
into the wooded area that you see.
Okay.
Yeah, not towards you, away from you. However, with that additional success that you had, you will get a +1 bonus to any type of skill check where anything related to this deer specifically comes into play.
Okay.
So, do you continue forward to the Moor residence?
I'm gonna just ask DM or storyteller.
Of course.
How, like, gut check? What's kind of the feeling I'm getting from the deer and Rory's reaction?
I would say that Rory, like any dog, is likely going to bark if it notices something, especially another form of wildlife. But that's just it. Rory would normally bark. Similar to if you see a squirrel. But he seemed defensive. Something feels off.
All right. I'll keep my distance, but I am going to follow a little bit in.
Okay. As you're starting to head into this wooded area, keeping a distance, are you trying to maintain visual on the deer? Okay. About how far away do you want to be from it?
I guess, I don't know, like 30, 40 feet away.
Okay. You're able to maintain that distance as you're following the deer in. You notice it starts to come across a felled small tree, and it hops over, kind of glancing back, and you notice that it seems as though it was looking directly at you, and it stops.
Okay. So it stops and it looks at me.
Yes.
What are you? You can understand me, can't you?
you notice the ears once more kind of twitch slightly, and its head it turns to the right, but even at this distance, you feel like you're still being watched, like its eyes are still affixed to you even if it's not looking at you. No voice is met, however. I will have one additional vigilance roll, please.
Okay. Is this pertaining to the deer?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You can use that +1.
Oh my god. Oh my god. 4.
Okay, 4 successes.
I'm sorry to steal everyone's luck.
No, I love it. This is perfect.
Take it. Well, since we can't, seriously.
Yeah, at least somebody has it.
Your focus on this deer, especially with Rory being right next to you, every now and again a slight growl coming from him. As a note, you will get to carry over 3 additional +1s. Those you are over by 3 dice. But you notice that the deer, as it's looking at you, the ears momentarily, as they flick off to the side, it looks like they change in appearance just momentarily. It looks like the ear of the deer essentially looks like an ear much closer to your own, but elongated. And just as soon as the ear is facing you once more, it looks like that of a deer. You feel as though when you're looking at it, there's a section of fur, like a patch. You could say, maybe at first glance, it might look like some sort of like issue with the skin, but it looks almost like bark. But it continues just to look at you currently. Are you going to be advancing towards it or doing anything further?
I'm not going to go towards it. I don't want to be threatening. I'll just kind of keep talking. I'm not going to hurt you. Roar's a little defensive. He's not going to hurt you either as long as I have a hold on him. Give the dog a scritch behind the ear. I just want to know what's going on. I promise I'm not going to hurt you.
Would you make, this will be your choice, either a inspiration or a manipulation check, all dependent on exactly how Aoife is approaching this. Is she
I'm going to go with
genuine,
it. She's genuine, yeah. All right, so inspiration. Okay. Two successes.
This is okay. I'm gonna check really fast. Okay. So, as you're saying all of this, as you've just described, attempting to assure this creature that's in front of you that you do not mean to harm it, and that you are genuinely there to help. These words, as you've described, as you're talking, maybe having your hand on Rory, the growl that he was giving every now and again has quieted. He's also calming down. The creature, however, starts to change its shape. The deer that you see in front of you, the ears once more flicker, and now it's odd. It's something like you feel like you've seen in a dream before. Weird ones after maybe too much drinking at a party the previous night, but ones that felt so vivid. The form of this deer is replaced by the form of a woman. The face, beautiful but haunting. Ethereal but very much intent on you. Long, dark hair. It almost looks like the clothing, if you call that, that's over her body is that of leaves. It's that of moss, algae, bark. But things that stay the exact same, cloven hooves on her feet. You hear a slight laugh, and I am going to need you to make a fear check. So you'll be either rolling with logic or with empathy. It's your choice.
Okay.
However Aoife would like to approach this.
1.
Hell, okay, perfect. 1 is all you needed for that fear check. You feel taken back at first, given what just occurred in front of you, but that fight or flight instinct, the feeling in your gut kind of goes away momentarily. You maintain your ground. The figure, as I said before, starts laughing lightly, and it sounds genuinely amused. And she says to you, as if you could hurt me.
Well, even if I could, I certainly wouldn't want to. If I'm begging your pardon, is everything all right? You seemed rather interested in me, and things have been a bit dangerous around here lately.
Things have been dangerous. Did you hurt them? And she
Hurt
looks
who?
over at your dog, at Rory. Them. The rabbits.
This is the first I've heard about rabbits. No, we don't. Rory, if there was hunting, it was for birds. We don't touch rabbits, at least not intentionally.
May I ask you, Aoife, was that true? Were you being
Yes.
truthful? Okay. Her head kind of angles slightly. Do you know who hurt the rabbits?
I don't. There were some folk coming from out of country that had mentioned seeing rabbits being hurt as well. I think they were looking into it, but I don't know who hurt the rabbits.
I will find the one who hurt the rabbits.
If you'd like, I could certainly try and find out as well.
I would.
I know there are some folk that do hunting in the area. There's nobody I know that would go out of their way to cause a rabbit harm, other than perhaps for hunting for food. But nobody that I would know that would do it maliciously or out of any sort of darkness in their heart. But if there is someone here like that, I'll do what I can to try and help find them.
I will give you a warning. I have not hurt you, but I could.
I know
I've
you
lost
could.
7 of my rabbits. You will lose 7 of yours.
Oh. Well, I'll do what I can to try and find out what's going on. Is there anything else I could do to help you? Do you have a name I should address you by?
I don't have a name. I'm just the one that's here. If you bring me the one who's hurt the rabbits, I won't hurt yours.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But you
If
only
there's... Sorry.
I won't wait long.
All right. Well, if there's anything else I can do to help in the meantime, let me know. I appreciate you taking the time.
And she's just staring at you. Her expression on her face doesn't seem to shift much. She's just looking at you intently. I will wait, but not long.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Even I might be so bold, you're rather striking, so thank you. I hope we can find out who did this and you can get some manner of peace or vengeance or whatever it is that you're looking for.
Both.
We will certainly try.
You will
Wind's
find me
blessing to
here.
you, friend. All right. And I'll just kind of slowly back away. Don't want to waste any more of her time.
As you're backing away and Rory's following you, she continues to watch you as you leave. If at any point in time you turn around, glance over your shoulder, you see a deer standing there looking at you. What
Okay.
will you be doing now, Aoife?
All right, so there's a couple of things I'd like to do. First, I'd like to just try and kind of ask around town who might have rabbit pelts for sale.
Okay. So, as you're going and maybe asking around, you know a lot of the contacts amongst the different sellers. Also have it be, if you don't mind, one investigation check for this.
Okay.
Just to see how long it will take you to find this information.
Not the best roll of mine. Okay, I still got one.
One? Okay, fantastic. So, it takes you a bit of time as some of the people that you've passed by or contacts that you went in and spoke with were saying, like, I think it might be this person. I think they'd had some in. It's really dependent on the hunters, really, if they bring us any to offer stuff that we can use. But you do get directed to a particular seller, specifically a leather worker that's in the area. We're going to go ahead get a name for you, for this person. While I'm doing that, very briefly, our group who was out in the bog, moving in further, would you all make vigilance checks for me as well?
Yeah, and also I had a question that I swear I had before Aoife's whole thing, but I was gonna ask if there was any if there was any indication of how many feet were leaving footprints.
Understood. So that would for full transparency, that would have been divulged with a higher difficulty being met for the investigation and
Got it.
learning.
Okay, so we just don't notice.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's not something that came to mind initially.
Cool.
I got 2 successes.
2? Fantastic.
I got 2 also.
Wow.
I got 1.
Fantastic.
Old lady's got nothing tonight, y'all.
I'm
Very
rolling really
annoying.
bad. I have very high vigilance and I've 1. Like,
And
I'm just so
Drunkards gonna be
distressed
drunk.
with how Aoife and I left things, and my mind's elsewhere. And
Oh.
Dolan's drinking, and he's got a gun. I'm just very distracted.
I'm sorry.
Also,
Dolan,
just
something?
Just
Oh.
as a prepared action, so that you know, if Dolan does fire that gun off at a Vaesen, I'm probably if he just sees one and shoots it, I'm gonna try and jump in the way of it. Just so you know.
That's on brand. I kind of
Oh,
expected
I was gonna pull a gun on Dolan, so that's my.
Oh God.
A whole chain of events.
Oh, perspectives.
Oh,
I like it. Okay, so
Gripping
I like
my
all of
walking
this.
stick tight.
Though the way I'm rolling, we'll see.
fantastic.
No successes, by the way, DM.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so in terms of those who had multiple successes, especially, you will get a additional +1 bonus later on for anything that is related to your current course of action. This is kind of a general vigilance check. Vera, you only had one, is that correct?
Yes, only
Okay,
one.
Fantastic. So I'll put El Guerrero and Sersha. As you are heading further into the bog, it's in some areas you're not unfamiliar with this. Your feet sinking in at times is a little bit deeper than before. You're able to navigate to areas that are maybe a bit less so. However, if you are not wearing appropriate footwear, your feet are very wet, very cold at the moment. You're starting to feel, it's an odd sensation of being watched but not seeing who's watching you. The further in that you're going, it just feels like there's more eyes, like peering into the back of your head. Then you glance around, you're not seeing anything. No other people. Honestly, even there's not much wildlife that you've noticed as you're getting further in. But you are following the tracks. Correct? That was the intent? Okay. You're following the tracks further in, and you're noticing that it's not just a straight line, it's curved. And you're starting to head a bit more to the west. At this point, you're noticing that the area surrounding you is changing. The vegetation is different. It's not unusual, especially for those who are native to this area, or even to Roundstone specifically. The bog is becoming more dense. It's less wetlands at that point. It's becoming more forested. But you are following the footprints into that more densely forested area.
So, are we leaving closer to the center of the bog, or no, further away from the center of the bog?
Further away from the center.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, with that in mind, I apologize, I'm going to jump back over to Aoife really quickly to finish up the exploration of the rabbit pelts. Aoife, you do have a contact that directs you over to... It's going to be Jack Boland. Not Boland, I'm sorry. Jack Robertson. He's Boland. Who's local leather worker. The door, as you're approaching it, you notice there's no lights on at this point in time. Do you still choose to, knock, try to see if anyone's there?
Is it before their normal business hours, or?
It seems to be after. It's a little bit later in the day.
Okay. I'll knock on the door.
Okay. So you're knocking, kind of listening in. You hear there's some movement on the other side. And if you're kind of just keeping an eye on maybe the covered window, it seems like there's a light source that's since been put on. You hear the door open a little bit in front of you, and you hear a man's voice. I'm sorry, we're closed.
Sorry, I've got a bit of an emergency. I'll pay you for your time very well. I apologize for coming after hours.
an emergency? You know this isn't the doctor, right?
I'm aware.
Okay, just one second. The door closes once more. You hear some shuffling around inside. It sounds like some things are being moved around. You hear a drawer close, and then the door opens up in front of you. You see a older gentleman standing in front of you, maybe let's say late 50s, approximately. Deep set wrinkles, brown eyes, kind of balding up top, and but nicely dressed enough for a leather worker, especially. Please come on in. What
All right, thank
exactly
you.
do you need an emergency for a leather worker for?
So this is embarrassing. I'm going to be going to a party later tonight, and the host has a real thing for leather furs, and I'll be honest, I completely forgot I was supposed to be bringing a gift. So I've been asking around, and I heard that you were the best bet for either rabbit leather or rabbit fur items. At this point, I'd just be willing to buy them whole off you if you have any.
Well, I guess I do, but it is gonna cost you after
Oh,
hours.
that's fine. That's fine.
He kind of seems to be steadying himself up against a countertop and kind of starts moving on over to the side. You notice there are some crates that are appear to have been, he was going through them almost, maybe accounting for inventory. It has a couple smaller furs. Brings out. Now, are you just looking for? These aren't refined in any sense. If you're going to a particular kind of party,
That
this is
they like doing a bit of crafting on their free time. You see,
Oh.
it's kind of a hobby, so thought it might be interesting to get her some supplies.
oh.
These should do fine. Did you get them yourselves or?
Oh, no, it's been a long time since I've been able to do that. He kind of like gestures down at a knee. You notice there's a pretty significant limp from him. No, I'll have to outsource.
All right. Do you have a local source?
There's a couple I've spoken with time and time again. Couple even down from like Roundstone area that'll occasionally come by. Is there a particular person you're looking for?
Particularly the ones from Roundstone. I'd been hearing about some interesting fur patterns and some of the rabbits that way, and be interesting to get someone to get a hold of so I could, you know, maybe see if we could get something a little interesting for my friend maybe the next time.
Got it. Well, I think I'll have to check on something really quick. And he starts
Sure.
shuffling off to he has some notes you see, clipboard he's looking through, kind of accounting for. You see various sales, various purchases of his own. He says, frequently, she's quite nice, if I recall correctly, from Roundstone. Rachel, I think. I've spoken with her once or twice. Believe it or not, a lot of the business men around here have actually picked it up as a hobby, so I've had a few of them come in before once or twice. I think actually I'm thinking about it, like the Moors every now and again we're bringing in some. I think one point a friend of theirs, Henry, I think. I didn't like any stuff he was bringing in. It was subpar. I couldn't do much with it, so sent him on his way. Nice boy, though.
Well, I certainly appreciate this. I'll certainly take these off your hands. I really appreciate you doing me this favor.
Oh, fantastic. He gives you a fairly expensive quote for it. Nothing with your resource score. I don't believe that you would have issue.
Yeah,
With.
I have a resource of 6.
It's not a question at that point. It's fine. You
I'm
have the funds
gonna-
on you.
Yeah, I'm gonna overpay as well.
Okay. Fantastic.
Just as a just a bit to show my gratitude. Thank you again for your time.
Well, thank you. If any more emergencies come up, feel free to stop by. Kind of you see him pocket a portion of the funds that you've just given him. And, if you don't mind, I've got some food at home waiting for me.
Go ahead. Thank you. Sorry to keep you.
Not a problem. You have a nice night now, okay? Stay safe.
You as well.
And he kind of leads you outside. He closes the door, locks it behind him, and starts walking probably adjacent to you actually for a short while, and then cuts off to the side. It's an awkward silence where he's just kind of not certain what to say, but gives you a pleasant nod as he heads off in a different direction.
All right.
Where is he headed next?
At this point, honestly, I think I would probably got a bit of a rush after all of this. Go and try and find the others.
Fantastic. Now,
So I'm gonna try and get Rory to. Rory knows what Mr. Halverson smells like. Come on, Rory. We're gonna go try and find him.
fantastic. I would say, oh, as a question, prior to the two groups going in their separate paths, had anyone specifically told Aoife where you were headed?
We mentioned to the site where the body was found, but we have left that area, so that's the last place she would know that we were, I think.
Yeah, I think there were enough context clues if we didn't say it explicitly
Yeah.
for her to know, like, at least that's where we were starting. But beyond
Yeah.
that,
Because we were all going to travel together, and then there was that beautiful little fight.
Ah, I loved it. Food for the soul. Fantastic. So in which case, you're able to head off in that direction, especially having Rory there to help you. Because I believe Rory actually will give you a bonus as well, having a hunting dog. I'm just going to refresh myself on specifically what that refers to.
+3 to investigation, vigilance, and close combat.
Fantastic. So close combat. I'm joking. Go ahead and can you make a vigilance check. I'm just gonna be saying, once you get to the area that you'd already known where the body was, how effective Rory is going to be assisting moving from there.
Rory's just gonna pounce on me.
2.
2? Okay, fantastic. Rory is like initially sniffing around the area and starts kind of pointing off, and you do notice there's also footprints that have since been left from 5 people traveling through the area. You're able to start following them. This will take a bit of time as you're familiar-ish with the area. It's still probably a bit of a difficult terrain for you to be walking through, and they do have a significant lead. However, they have just entered into a essentially different area than what they were in previously. As you've all noticed, this is becoming a lot more wooded. It's definitely a distinct difference from the bog that you were in before. What is everyone doing?
I'm definitely going to be trying to find any signs of Vaesen. I'm also going to be analyzing the plant life to maybe get a better understanding of where we are.
Ooh, okay.
I think I'd also be looking for if there are any other, like, mushroom rings, mushroom trails, any other similar shimmers to what we saw. And yeah, being careful that we're like following the tracks, but not erasing or stepping in them.
Fantastic.
I think
But-
Vera is... Oh, go ahead.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, Vera's splitting her attention between Dolan, just sort of keeping an eye on him, and then also just like trying to, I think, just being aware that we're going into a new area, not necessarily looking for the same things that she was looking for before, but just trying to stay alert, and like be paying attention to movement, like, and if there's any like peripheral movement. I think she's just, since it's like a different area than she expected they were going, she's just kind of on alert.
Fantastic.
And Dolan's kind of in the same boat of just staying alert, looking more into the woods. Even though it's a different bog, he kind of has familiarity with what happened 5 years ago. So he kind of just looks to the woods in that way, and while also looking for tracks. Not so much shimmers. Yeah.
And El Guerrero.
I would also like to talk to Biddy and just like tell her sort of like what we found in the bog, since she seemed interested in like the mushroom circles. So I just want to elaborate to her like the information we found with the rabbits in the bog, since she seems like she might be knowledgeable about local like mystical things happening and things like that.
Would the way the rabbits were strung up ring any bells or sound like anything ritualistically familiar?
Understood. I'm gonna have a series of checks be made just for this particular area. So anyone who is doing like the specific like investigation in nature, an investigation check, please. For those who are doing it like a general awareness, I'm gonna have that be a vigilance check. And I will get back to your question really quickly, Biddy. El Guerrero, what are you doing?
Whatever Vera asks me to help with.
Okay, then I think maybe since I know we kind of have this like buddy detective situation going on, I think I'm just gonna lean over to you and just say, I don't know if this is related to what happened 7 years ago for you, but just keep your eyes peeled for anything that looks familiar. I know you're not comfortable telling me what happened, but if there's any parallels, I think you would be the one to notice them. So let's keep our eyes open.
Then I'm gonna focus only on that.
Okay, fantastic. I'll have that be a vigilance check then for you, El Guerrero. Biddy.
Do I get that extra one from before or no?
Yes, you will.
Sweet.
Same for Saoirse, if you had not already taken that. Biddy, to answer your question about the description that Vera is giving you about like how these rabbits were hung up, like strung up from branches, or really anything that was possible near the circle, the mushroom circles that had been seen, it doesn't sound familiar to you. In fact, it seems like just odd in general, especially with the description of like for lack of a better description, a makeshift attempt at dyeing of the fur on the rabbits that clearly wasn't effective. It just seems very odd. It doesn't seem ritualistic to you.
Also, I got garbage on that vigilance check,
Ooh,
so...
Okay. So, no successes. Oh, Biddy, we gotta get you new dice.
I've been switching between, I have like 12 d6s, and not a one of them is being nice to me.
Ouch.
Oh.
Okay, how about, Saoirse?
I got 3.
3 successes. Amazing. El Guerrero?
I got one.
1. Fantastic. Dolan? 0. With everything Dolan's dealing with right now, I feel like that's fair. Vera? 1. Okay, fantastic. So, Saoirse, you were with 3 successes on, was it a vigilance or an investigation specifically?
That was investigation.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, you were looking for signs of like Vaesen in the area. You were looking at like the plant life surrounding it as well. So as you're kind of glancing around, like especially, I would say this area, this particular like the trees that you're seeing around you, this feels a lot more like the area in Roundstone that you've been to multiple times near the ash tree. This feels a bit more similar in that regard. You're not seeing ash trees, to be specific, but you're also not really seeing a lot of like, how do I put it? You're not seeing any type of movement around you aside from the other investigators. You'd normally expect to hear like maybe birds, something to give like a acknowledgement of, animals are here, but you're not seeing any. It does seem a little odd to you at the moment. The plant life, I apologize, just to revisit that. Was it something specific you were looking for with the plants?
So with the plants, kind of like a sense of where I am and if any of them are useful to me.
Understood. Glancing around, similar again in vegetation to the area near the ash tree. You would notice that there are remnants of like not quite the moss that you're used to seeing like in the bog. That's a bit thicker, but you do see moss that's accumulating around here. You see a variety of plants that you could potentially use for like medicinal or otherwise, if you would choose to take some time to like harvest while you're here.
I think I will take some time while I'm talking to everyone.
Okay, fantastic. Vera, with your one success, and El Guerrero also attempting to watch, you were specifically just keeping an eye out on your surroundings, like your peripheral, was that correct?
Yeah, I just feel a little on edge since I was sort of suspecting that whatever was in the center of this bog was happening. And so now I'm like realizing I need to kind of recalibrate. So I'm just trying to take in as much information as possible and make sure that nothing is sneaking up on us.
Absolutely. With your one success, and also I would say considering the abundance of successes from Saoirse, you're aware of like how everyone around you is also like appearing. You don't feel as though right now any movement's being taken towards you at that point. Like as you're keeping your like very mindful of your peripherals, the types of movement aren't catching your attention. You feel pretty confident that right now you're alone.
Okay.
El Guerrero, I would give you that same information, considering it's what you were assisting Vera with.
All right.
I will say, however, you do notice there are some mushrooms. This is also applicable to Saoirse. Not necessarily in a circle, but you see every now and again some nearby, which is fairly normal. But unfortunately, Dolan, there's a lot on your mind right now. You're glancing about, you see your companions maybe picking up some items that are around, like plants. Saoirse's definitely engrossed in something. But there's a lot on your mind at the moment, and it's not really... It's difficult to settle. Biddy, unfortunately, same for you. You're feeling tired. It's been a long day.
Do you hear that?
Hear what?
That's exactly the point. It's so quiet. We're in the middle of the woods. And the tracks come here, and it looks a lot like Roundstone. Something is wrong. And I'm starting to wonder if something is wrong with nature, and that's why the Vaesen is out of alignment with what it would normally be doing. This isn't right. It shouldn't be this quiet. Listen.
I've noticed I haven't seen anything. I've been trying to keep an eye out to see if anything is following us or in the distance, but it feels like we're completely alone.
That's scary.
For this group, though, would you all make one last vigilance check?
Oh,
for
Brie,
me?
we can't hear you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there
it's
she
back.
is.
Oh,
It's
you
back.
can- Okay, fantastic. I'm sorry about that. Would you all make one more vigilance check before we take a quick break?
Is this site related?
It is not. It's sound.
Okay, cool.
I'm a deaf old woman. I can't hear a thing.
2.
Fantastic.
One. Just
Okay.
5s and 1. Like, I'm rolling so weird today. Okay, I got 1 success.
1,
First 2 successes of the game. Yeah.
2 for Dolan. Fantastic.
Of the day.
2 for El Guerrero.
I'm busy pulling out a particularly like squelchy mushroom, so I heard nothing. Absolutely
No
nothing.
worries.
Just the sound of squelch.
I'm
So-
listening so hard to the silence, I can't hear anything.
So the anyone who had 1 success at least, as you're all like intently listening and taking in like just how quiet it had become, something breaks that silence for you momentarily. You hear the sound of crunching behind you. Like, it seems somewhat distant, not close. And you hear the sound of like a panting that's occurring. And we figure out what that is after we come back from break. So let's go ahead and take a quick 15-minute break. Thank you all so much for being along with us for the first part of this session. Give us 15 minutes so we get a chance to refresh, and we'll be right back.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with us after the break. All of us refreshed. Good to get back to the terror. I hope it hasn't been too terrifying yet. Emphasis on the yet. But before we went to our break, our larger of the separated party, Vera, El Guerrero, Biddy, Sersha, and Dolan, had left this bog area that they were investigating, following some footprints, some tracks that led into a more forested area. And as they were investigating, trying to stay aware of their surroundings, they heard like the sounds of footsteps behind them, further off, and the sound of panting. Now, if anyone is turning around to take a look at this, would anyone be doing so?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, as you're glancing over quickly, maybe like spinning in place, slightly losing footing, the moment of fear subsides fairly quickly. The panting that you see is from a very, very large dog, who you are more than familiar with. You do see Rory, currently, and Aoife as well.
Who is also panting.
Yes.
Aoife, you're all right.
I'm fine. I need a minute to catch my breath. I haven't done this much walking in a while.
Just glad you managed to catch up with us.
It's been a bit of a trip. I'm never gonna get the mud out of this dress. So, I had a little bit of a visit when I was heading back to town. Kind of why I came back, even though I kind of mucked things up earlier. Sorry about that. Right.
No. You are right. I mucked things up here. I got you two involved.
We all did. Just a little bit in our own way. So the long and the short of it, hi, proper introductions, I'm Aoife McKenna. I am daughter of, well, of the McKenna whiskey distilleries in the area. You all said that there was you all came from Roundstone previously, right?
Yes.
Well, visiting an acquaintance. Sersha here lives in Roundstone, and Elgier are here visiting with her. And then Farah will put her hand out to shake your hand. Farah Lindblom. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi. And she'll kind of reach a hand out cautiously. You know, she's very much not the type to be looking like she'd be like muck deep in the woods. You know, it still has that like socialite, rich person aesthetic, even if it is covered in muds and twigs at this point.
I feel like if she looks over at Sersha, who's the exact opposite at this time, she'd be like, oh no.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked is you all had found some rabbits in poor condition, right? That was something I remember hearing.
Yes, rabbits strung up and died, or at least looks like partially, or a rough attempt at dying. Their fur black.
All right. Interesting. The long and the short of it is I wouldn't say I made a new friend, but I did meet somebody that I wasn't expecting to on the way back to town. When I say she was a bit of a deer, I'm not being coy. She was a deer, and then she was a person.
Does that drop of information alert those of us?
Can we put that together?
Yes, I would say for Vera, El Guerrero, and Dolan, I am going to require a check. it'll be your choice of learning or investigation on this. Considering backstories, Biddy and Saoirse, this will sound familiar to both of you. Saoirse, obviously, you're aware of shapeshifters. You know of different types of them. This particular change that was just shared with you, deer to woman, woman to deer, does sound familiar to you in the sense that stories of like different nature wives. For instance, you're familiar with ash tree wives specifically. You've heard of wood wives as well, lake wives. Shapeshifting's common for them. Biddy, I would say same information to you. You believe this is a protector of some sort, but a powerful one. Vera, El Guerrero, Dolan, did you make those checks? 0? Okay.
8 die.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
El Guerrero, were there any successes for you?
2 successes.
2 6. Okay, fantastic.
Right.
El Guerrero.
You should be the detective.
I will say, because of your not being local to this area, your difficulty was higher. But 2 would be sufficient for it. It's more so like, again, ridiculous stories that you've heard before about protector spirits, nature spirits. This one's like, I feel like I've heard something similar to this from some guy that you were like fighting at one point, who is like talking big game about how he could take on like these types of spirits. You're nothing to him. But this sounds familiar in that sense.
I metaphorically flex, but also I definitely also flex for reals in my success.
Just do some poses.
Yeah,
Quick in the
I do some
forest, just
poses,
so
like
quick.
some very victorious
Yeah.
poses. Like, yeah, I knew this.
Yeah. I look at El Guerrero impressed.
Is the
Your
posturing
cheese-
for a reason?
Are you transforming?
No, he's just like this. Anyway.
Well, that would Did you speak to it? Or her?
I did. She
Wait,
didn't
what are we
hurt
talking
me.
about? Did anyone explain the nature spirits?
Oh no, I'm just moving on.
Okay. Wait, what are
Right.
what is it? Who is she? What kind of
There was
creature
a
is she?
deer that turned into a woman.
Okay.
Very elongated ears.
Vera, those sorts of things do exist. There are different types of nature wives. They're protectors. It sounds like probably one of those.
Biddy's just waiting.
Yeah.
She's not explaining.
Sorry.
She just wants to know.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go on.
I did talk to her. It was a bit of a bit tense situation. She was very to the point. I think she is the one responsible for the
Murders.
murder of Michael.
What did she say?
She had said that they had taken 7 of her rabbits, so she was going to be taking 7 of ours.
That's not good. I think we need to get out of this bog in a good hurry.
There's a bit more to the story. I apologize, Biddy.
Then with it quickly, girl.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. And so I did say that we would try to help find who was responsible for doing that. I do think that's probably related to the rabbits that you were talking about earlier. So those rabbits I don't think were caused by a creature of any sort other than a person. She did get a bit impatient saying that she'll give us some time to find out before killing again.
How much time?
She didn't really say. She just kinda implied not a lot of time. I'm imagining, I don't know, a day.
How many
Was that-
rabbits were found in your neck of the woods, Saoirse?
Can we recall like all the rabbits we found and how many were in each cluster?
Absolutely. So Saoirse
Ooh,
had.
close.
Oh,
There we go. You're back.
able to hear me? Okay, I'm sorry
Yes.
about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, Saoirse still even has the map where there were like markings that were in that distinct circle around the bog. There were 7.
And so some in. Well, I guess I'll ask that directly. How many and where were they?
Oh, well, there were 7, and I like pull out the map. And right here.
The rings we were trying to.
Out of the bog now. Come on,
Explain.
back the way we went. Let's go. We can discuss this more in my house.
All right.
She's got like walking stick and is trying to like push the group. Like, let's go. Come on, kids. Out of the bog.
Is
We
everyone...
went away from the bog though, right?
Yeah,
I
we
thought
were
we
in the
were-
woods.
Yeah.
We
I
left the
misunderstood.
bog.
I thought we were going
Yeah.
further in.
No, we were heading
that's
away.
I asked specifically because I'm
Mm.
worried about whatever's in the center of the bog.
Got it.
So we've moved away from the bog.
Well, at any
So
rate,
if we-
out of woods, out of bog, whatever, out of nature. Let's go into a house where it's safe.
Maybe we should go to the bog. We need to find out what's killing these rabbits.
We can walk and talk. I did a little bit of looking around in town before I came back. It's actually kind of why I came back. I did some asking around about who's been hunting rabbits recently. Kind of went and talked to Mr. Robertson, the leather worker, and I bought some pelts off him to kind of get some information. First off, new friends. Do you know anybody by the name of Rachel, a hunter of any sort?
Yes. Saoirse does.
Yes.
She brought Mr. Robertson some rabbits from the Roundstone area. I don't know if she's related in any way to this, but I thought it would be at least worth looking into. Otherwise, there's also some of the noble families. It sounds like they've been picking up rabbit hunting as a bit of a hobby, so that might be related to what happened with the Moors.
Oh, but if you went to the leather worker, didn't the strung up ones still have their skins?
They do.
I was going to say, Rachel was the one who came to us about the strung up rabbits in the first place. She's not the one doing the stringing up. But I suspect this protector spirit is just killing anyone who has killed rabbits or might be related to this. You say the Moors been hunting, so it might be more of a list of potential victims
I
rather than the
also don't
perpetrator.
know if they were hunting her rabbits specifically. I think she was seeking out the ones that had killed specific rabbits. That being said, that's why I kind of asked. I figured if they're already out hunting anyway, they probably would have killed some for meat and pelts and then done their stringing up or whatever's they did with the others. So it might be some leads to looking into.
I would think
Alrighty.
rather it sounds a bit more like the stringing is a different intent and a purpose.
Yes,
Right.
This was not done by a hunter. This was done by someone doing.
To be fair, somebody could be hunting and then doing that and using the
True.
hunting as an excuse to do that. Because nobody would have questioned if they're out with all their hunting gear, hunting rabbits.
True, but
And if
why
they're-
would she ask us to investigate then? I mean, I agree. Maybe we
I'm
should talk
not
to her again.
specifically putting blame on her head. I'm just saying she had come in from Roundstone with some rabbits. And then there's some of the local families who had been doing that as well.
Yeah, maybe we should talk to these people.
Should we try to question any of the Vaesen near the areas where the rabbits were strung up?
Would we
wouldn't
know
risk
if they're the local, I guess me specifically, are there any, would there be any Vaesen with whom I would have familiarity in the area of the bog?
Understood. The more clear option is probably the fairies, given these were occurring immediately near their circles. You would be, especially with Surge having brought them up, pukas are common in the area, or I would say pukas. It might be the same one for all you know. Aside from that, those are probably the most likely ones that are specifically within that perimeter.
So, forgive me for going off. Kind of talk when I'm nervous, but I also, bit of context. There's some rumors been floating around, kind of some idle gossip about some of the wealthy elite in the area, and a lot of them have to do with kind of some connection to the mystic creatures. So, first off, the
Okay.
McKenna's, my family. There's a rumor going around that we had run afoul of the fairies, and they put some sort of curse on. I don't know if it was my granddad or older, but by the time I was around, it was just kind of an old gossip tale. There's the owners of the quarry, the O'Sullivans. They There's a rumor that they were working with nature spirits to kind of get their success. Then there were the Gallaghers. There was, I mean, theirs isn't directly but mystic related, but I don't know. I'm just kind of spitting this all out there.
Do I
So the
recognize any of those Bree? Do I recognize any of those family names?
Family names? Go ahead and make a learning check really quickly.
Learning check. Okay.
Yeah. This is not necessarily to answer the question, but just see what degree.
Yeah. Okay, 2 successes.
Okay, fantastic. So, yes, specifically one does jump out at you. The mention of the family is working with the nature spirits is familiar. Primarily because there was, they were brought up as a example, not necessarily like a direct topic in conversation with those you've worked with in the society. There were similar investigations into nature spirits, specifically when it came to quarries, in like Wales, for instance. Not specifically this quarry, but it's not unusual for nature spirits to be a part of that type of business.
Right, with the Gallaghers, their current heir Peter, there's been of some validity, or the validity of his heirship's been challenged, kind of off and on. And then lastly, there's the Moore family, and after their mother died, Ellen, they've been kind of going into a bit of a financial ruin. So while my family and the O'Sullivans have some sort of direct relation to the mystic creatures, the Gallaghers and the Moors might have reason to try and garner their interest, if only out of desperation. I understand I'm sounding kind of daft just going off here, but I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing ideas based on what I know.
I'm familiar with these. There's a reason I went to the Moore's birthday party. There's a reason I invited. There's a reason I got you two to come with me. It's because of those rumors.
Would have been nice to be told.
Wasn't sure.
I was
Sorry.
gonna go. I was gonna go anyway. I kind of have to. But, those are just gossips that I've heard. a lot of people don't really. I don't know. I overhear a lot.
Biddy, would you be familiar with other other forms of worship or mystic arts?
GM can correct me, but I think that's a roll I made earlier and
Was it?
didn't come
Oh,
up empty on, at least in terms of the rabbits.
oh well. Not
If
Um,
necessarily the
this,
rabbits.
yeah, if it were specific to the rabbits, that would be related to that role. I would
Yeah.
say any question about like religious practices or knowledge, I'll actually leave that in your hands for your character.
I mean, yes, that's kind of her whole thing. What she would have learned from her mother.
I mean,
But
not necessarily knowledge of the rabbits themselves, but
uh, there's plenty of occult practices still. There are rituals that run deeper and older than what a lot of the town folk subscribe to these days. In terms of these rabbits, though, the description it didn't ring familiar. That doesn't mean it's not religious. But I don't think even I don't know, you might be on the right track in the sense of someone may be trying to garner either sympathy or antagonizing, I suppose, with these rabbits.
I mean, I don't want to be pointing fingers or anything, but
I don't know that it's
before
the Moors.
I don't know either, but the father there, James, was acting rather suspicious the last time I saw him. He was having a conversation with John, and I was just being friendly, and he was kind of giving me the evil eye there for quite a while.
did we
He
even
does.
see John at the party really quickly?
He
Sorry.
wasn't there, I don't think.
Just the bothers. Okay.
It concerns me that it's a ring around the bog in general.
We definitely believe you, Eva, and I think you're leading us on the right track. Maybe we should talk to the Moors and maybe the Gallaghers. I've heard of the O'Sullivans. I'm certain they are using nature spirits, but if their business is rather successful, I don't see why they would try a new venture. And
Right. And with my family, ma and
no
da,
change.
yeah, my ma and da passed a while ago, so there's just me and Reardon, my brother. And considering I'm kind of the black sheep of the family, if he was getting into any of this sort of stuff, I think he would already know that I would have been reading into it, and he might have asked me. So, I mean, I'm not trying to weasel out. It could have been Reardon, but it's kind of, I don't know. I don't really feel like there's a strong grab there.
I think let's not rule him out completely, but let's focus on maybe the Moors first, and then if that's not fruitful, maybe the Gallaghers. We may not need to talk to every family, but
Sure.
let's focus on the ones who had the most to gain
Right.
and the least to lose.
I wish there were a way we could get the whole townsfolk to stay out of the woods and the bog until we know anything more.
Well, I told Rachel to stay safe. She's staying in town, and she gave us her location if we needed to ask her more questions. Maybe we need to tell anyone who's an active hunter to stay out of the bog.
We could.
Mhm.
Well, you're. Forgive me, but you're an investigator, right?
Yes. You want to put an announcement out?
What if we went to talk to the constable? Maybe make up a bit of a fib that you were investigating some sick wolves that were attacking, and there have been a lot of accidents recently, and you've tracked them to the bog, and that for the safety of everybody, they should not go in, or they might be attacked by these wolves.
Yes, I think that might be a good idea. We did talk to the constable earlier, but We didn't
I'm
have
gonna
much to
hand-
go on at the time.
I'll hand you a small purse. And if he doesn't listen to that, maybe he'll listen to this.
Fair enough. Put it in my pocket.
It's pretty heavy.
And Dolan.
I do have a bit of a left field question, Bree.
Yeah.
Would I know, if I've been in this town long enough, would I know of any like, elk club type meetings?
Ooh, I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Elk club type meetings, like
Oh.
like the well, 1800s. Was there any kind of like meeting among the men of the town?
Yeah, like the elite men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, I would say that's something that, yeah, you would probably be aware of happening. Aoife as well would be aware of that, considering family. That's something that probably does occur, like, every few weeks.
Okay.
It's somewhat unofficial, and more so on, like, a need to know. The people who are somehow connected will know about them and where to go. You happen to pick up the word on that occasionally.
I could also investigate through by the means of just talking to the men of the town and see if I can get into that meeting, if there is one coming up eventually.
Fair. I think that's a good parallel pursuit, but seems like time is of the essence, so I'd say we might need to just directly question these men. We might not have the luxury of waiting.
If I could find out, well, if I could find out who is at least part of this group.
Yeah, that could be useful. Certainly.
If it is primarily you're looking for, like, heads of families, Aoife would know that information without a problem. She'd be able to let you know, like, essentially who head of household is, or the acting person in charge for each of these families. Her own included.
Yeah, I'd have. I mean, I'd have no doubt that Reardon or Daddy Moore would probably be part of this, including other people that get together and probably go out and hunt together.
Well, it sounds like we have somewhat of a game plan. Perhaps it would be most time efficient to split for these tasks. Inspector, if you don't mind, go into the constable first. Put the word out to the public to stay safe. Aoife, maybe start tackling the tops of the list.
I'd like to be there for the questioning of Moore, if that's all right, as well. Maybe if you want to ask some other families if they've noticed anything strange about his behavior to start, and then together we can go question him.
Possibly. I don't think that James Moore likes me much, so I don't know if I'd have any luck there.
Okay, maybe you can focus on the other men who might know him, and you can ask sort of if he's had any change in behavior lately, anything noticeably odd besides his obvious grief.
Right. I mean, there is the loss of his wife and his son.
Yes. Maybe he's been acting out in a way. You can find out
Perhaps.
more information there.
Maybe John would know more, his son. The one who had the party that this all started from.
Just tread lightly. They are grieving.
Right. I don't want to approach that unless we absolutely have to.
I was more thinking of his friends and acquaintances, the men Dolan was mentioning.
Right.
Anyone might have noticed odd behavior. I agree. I don't think we should push too hard for his son unless we absolutely have to.
In the meantime, Doctor, would you mind accompanying me to the bog?
Absolutely.
I want to see at least one of these rabbits.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
should go sooner rather than later if this wife has agreed to hold off temporarily.
All right, so this time I'm actually going to insist you take Rory with you. He's good at finding something. So all right, you go. You be a good boy now, Rory.
I'll trade leash. And I think Biddy would take a second while like transferring the leash to very purposefully reach out and squeeze your hand.
She kind of nods in appreciation.
Okay.
All right, and then Mr. Guerrero, Dowland, wherever your talents are best suited.
Well, no one would really agree with me on this one, but it is really a good place to get information. I think I'll go down to the tavern.
Maybe if you
See
take
what people
Mr.
are
Guerrero with you, a novelty of personality might open a few more tongues.
Quite possibly. Mr. Guerrero, the bartender, is said to have a cocktail that is supposed to pop the pennies off a dead Irishman. If you get my meaning.
I
Just be
don't.
sure you can show him, but be cautious, be careful, don't lose your heads.
Mr. Halverson, you can put it on my tab while you're there.
I appreciate
if
that.
you need to buy drinks to loosen tongues.
Oh, while you're questioning the townsfolk, ask about the doctor. See if anyone's seen her. Or the Welsh. I'll check in with the constable as well, but any information about her would be useful too.
And what time? It's still afternoon, isn't it?
Later
Yes.
afternoon.
It's late afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone be interested in possibly looking at the body one more time?
I plan to.
Okay.
I'd be happy to as well.
Possibly look at for markings or tattoos that we didn't even notice because we were looking at the mutilated parts.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I think the plan is you to the bog, you to the bar, you to the aristocrats, maybe, and I can talk to the constable and look at the body, and talk to
If
Mr.
there's any struggle, we'll just say I hired you to look into the death of the Moor boy.
I've spoken with the constable already, so I think
Right, but if
willing to
if
collaborate,
there's
but
right,
certainly
if there's issue with looking at the body this time,
I'll
just
keep
to
that in mind.
specify that you're being hired
Appreciate
to
it.
look into the matter, of course.
So, a couple different paths are being taken right now. Bogs, bars, and aristocrats. It sounds like a board
We
game.
keep splitting up the party, Bree. I'm sorry.
Bogs, bars,
We
and
wanna
bourgeoisie.
Right?
Oh my god, amazing. Fantastic. So, I'm going to say with this, and then we do also have Vera heading off to speak with the constable directly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, I'm going to go in terms of like order of proximity from your current location. The closest thing right now is going to be the bog. So we have Biddy and Saoirse heading in that direction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we will
And
start
Rory.
with you. Oh, and Rory. Yes.
And
Fantastic. So
just
yes,
to
you will
whatever
get
of the nearest rabbit.
to the nearest. And Saoirse, I would say no check necessary for this because you have Rory there to assist. That's already just mechanically additional 3 die chances. It's in your favor, but also because you do have your map currently. So you do notice that circle, very pronounced. The closest one is going to be like on the northern end. It still takes probably about even 15-ish minutes or so. It's not as long as you actually anticipated for it to take from where you are right now. However, you do leave this like more wooded area and you're going back into a bog where the trees are a bit more sparse. As you're heading into that direction, you do see that one of the rabbits is still hanging from a tree. The scent, I will say, is unpleasant. to say the least. And given the amount of time this rabbit has been left up, it is in varying states of decay. It seems to have been like picked at a bit.
Like critters eating it?
Yeah, critters eating it. It's
Okay.
not unusual.
The smell, is it purely decay, or is there anything else?
It's pretty overwhelming in that. So it would be hard to see anything else from it.
And then just want to, without touching, make as thorough of an investigation as you can. Like, what kind of rope? You said it's painted. Is it like with tar or paint? Kind of looking for substance, if there's anything left with the decomposition.
Got it.
And then the position. Like, is it feet first, head first?
Fantastic. So I'll go ahead and have you make an investigation check for as you are assessing the body of the rabbit.
And there's no bonus from the dog for that, is there?
I don't believe there is.
Could she have like a help from how the information that we had previously given her on the rabbits? Because I did mention that it was dyed, because we found that out. So
That's true.
So mechanically, Rory does add +3 to investigation.
Oh, fantastic. Well, add that +3 to it.
I need it.
and
Can
I'll
I help
s-
at all?
I will say yes. If you would like to help, I'm going to give an additional +1 that combined with the prior explanation from Vera.
Blood dice, hopefully it's enough. Oh, hallelujah. One whole success.
One? Okay, fantastic. So, very thorough looking over without touching of this rabbit. And you're being mindful also because the area underneath this rabbit is another small mushroom circle. Smaller, but not making it any less inconvenient for you as you're trying to be mindful of its location. You are, without looking at it, without touching it, it's difficult to see like the specific consistency. It's also weathered at this point. Again, picked at by critters. It looks like at best glance with that, best guess with that one success, it almost looks like a substance that you're familiar with women using, perhaps to dye their own hair. It's not done well. It's very, very patchy. And the feet specifically, the hind feet, are tied up together with the rope and connected to this branch. The rope
And it's
itself... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Black? Sorry, the dye is black? Okay.
It is, yes.
Sorry, what else were you saying?
And the rope itself looks sturdy. It looks not like it's been frequently used. There's absolutely no fraying on it that you can see, despite it as much as it would be for being out here for about a week. Other than that, it doesn't look like it was used previously.
And definitely more rope than twine.
Yes.
Interesting. The dye looks brushed on versus dipped.
Yes, it does.
Does that be patchy? Seeing it up close, does it ring any more bells?
Nothing more than what's just been described.
Well, Doctor, thank you for accompanying me. Nothing off the top of my head, but I do have a few volumes from my mother back at my cottage. So, I would ask that you at least accompany me that far, and then if you were wanting to take another look at the body or join the others in town, I can go and do my own bit of research while the rest of you bustle about.
Of course, of course. Should we cut it down?
I hesitate to. On the one sense, it's already done its damage, but also when one opens a door, one does it very specifically, very thoughtfully, very knowingly. Without knowing what kind of a door this is. I don't know how to close it. And I would fear opening it further by making the wrong move. But it's good to know one is closest by, so if we learn anything, we can hurry here first.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Should we go back now?
I can't learn anything more from this. Actually, real quick though, just before leaving, it's the mushroom circle, same shimmer, nothing different, can't see anything through, or it's just the same shimmer.
Exactly. If you're, I would actually say that if you're taking the time to look at it and like over the span of several minutes to watch the shimmer appear, as it's only like once every 1-2 minutes that it occurs, you notice that it seems a bit more intense than it did earlier, the one that you'd seen before.
I would probably say as much to the doctor and point out. I guess I would ask just confirmation. I would assume you can see it.
Yes, that's very troubling. Well, then we have to speed things up, I suppose.
Time seems very much to be of the essence. Shall hurry as fast as my old limbs can take me.
Fantastic. Now, as Biddy and Saoirse are heading back to Biddy's residence, is that correct? Fantastic. Time is definitely of the essence in this. A clock is ticking. A countdown has begun at some point in time throughout this session. Things are happening concurrently to everything that you're doing right now in your groups. I just wanted to bring that up because while this is an odd time for us to break, I would say this is going to be the end of our session. We'll pick it back up 2 weeks, or actually 3 weeks from now, after the new year. This is going to be longer than what we expected, but thank you to this amazing group of players who have been willing to continue on this mystery and delve into it further. We'll pick it up. I think it should be the 7th, if I'm doing my calendar math correctly there, in 2023. So, new year, maybe last session of the game for it. But before we go ahead and disconnect for the night, I want to go ahead and once more go around the table, have everyone shout out where people can find you at, any projects that you're working on. Please just like plug away. Let's go ahead and start with Adam this time.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Turns Heel, staying muted and everything, all that. You could find me as Adam Turns Heel on Twitch, and all sorts of social media. And I notice Arclight Court is in the chat. I also play a game with him known as Mask of the Mighty, every second Tuesday of the month. We just finished issue 2. This past Tuesday. It was a lot of fun, and can't wait to play again, well, next year. Tomorrow I'll be playing some Famicom Detective Club, The Girl Who Stands Behind, trying to solve some mysteries. And you can also find me either out on bowling lanes or the UPS store in Garden Grove, hopefully getting your gifts to you on time.
Fantastic. And let's go to Sarah.
Again, I'm Sarah Dernesk. I have just done my last live show for Pick Your Poison Productions of the year. We had our pub sing on Thursday. But for those of you not in the Burbank area, we do stream all of our shows. Right now are still going to YouTube. We had to put the Twitch on a bit of a hiatus. But Pick Your Poison Productions, our most recent Rumble, just streamed yesterday. We lost all track of time. It's a holiday themed battle royale, and you'll just have to tune in for the seasonal shenanigans to see who comes out on top in the most horrible holiday battle royale ever. And then our pub sing, which we performed live on Thursday, will be streaming the week after next. I'm looking at my calendar, the 30th. So if you need something to do on the eve of New Year's Eve, you can watch our even more chaotic holiday-themed pub sing. So like drinking songs, but also demented carols and twists of parodies of parodies of parodies. It's nonsense. It's wonderful. That'll be also going to our YouTube. So that's what I've been up to.
Awesome. And Isabel?
Hi, my name is Isabel. You can find me at Isabel is okay on all social media. Just chatting about games and TTRPGs. I have one game coming up the day after Christmas, so the 26th. But actually, it's part of Live from the Apocalypse's 2 weeks of fundraising for the International Rescue Committee. So if you want to go to Live at the Apocalypse Twitter page, you can find the full list of games. My game I'm very excited about. It's going to be, it's called Before Break. It's going to be a game about students who are also playing a TTRPG. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be on the 26th at 4 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. So you should check out that one or any of their other awesome charity streams. They have one that's, I think, finishing right now. So if you want to go check out the VOD for that, yeah, go for it.
Awesome. And Kelsey?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey on social media. I'm at Tombs and Tomes. And if you want to see me in anything again, you can always stop in the Initiative Orders Twitch tomorrow and watch me in the Symbarum game run by Nate.
Wonderful. Fluffy?
Hi, I go by Fluffy Snowfall. You can find me on pretty much Twitter, Hive, most social medias as Fluffy Snowfall. As for things I'm a part of, episode 3 of the podcast that I'm doing released this week. It's every other week. You Will Be Missed. It's a Ravenloft Dungeons and Dragons podcast. And it's been a lot of fun to do. So hopefully folks will enjoy it.
Awesome. And then, of course, Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan. You can find me on Twitter at robo_EP, where I just talk about my hobbies, even though it sounds like I just hate all of the things I like. I don't have anything else I'm working on unless Bree invites me to it.
Oh, well, I mean, wow, twist my arm, why don't you? I would love to have you at the table again. That goes for everyone here. This has been so much fun. I guess I'll just kind of close it out. I'm Bree. I've been honored to be the game master for this series. I'm typically here on the initiative order, normally behind the scenes, so this is my one thing that I'm on the channel for, but I am incredibly happy with how this is going, and I cannot wait for the next episode. Before we go ahead and close out for the night, however, I would like to give some shout outs to our awesome sponsors for the channel. So our sponsors are wonderful, so generous. They've given us a complete collection of different discount codes that you can use to get discounts off purchases through them. So the first one I would like to start with is going to be Session Zero Clothing. Session Zero Clothing has fantastic D&D and TTRPG in general inspired streetwear. If you go ahead and use code initiative at checkout, you'll get 15% off your purchase. Next up, I would like to shout out Norse Foundry dice. Norse Foundry, if you're not familiar, beautiful artisan dice. If you use the code TIO, the initiative order 15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off your order. Next up, I would also like to shout out more dice companies because we really love dice here. Mithril Armory, if you're familiar with the variety of different Kickstarters that they've done, all amazing because their dice are incredible. You can go ahead and get a discount of 10% off your purchase with using code initiative at checkout. And speaking of dice, the wonderful Umbral Oculus dice, Taryn, aka Valrook, on all the social medias, has some incredible dice that she makes. They are cursed for game masters. You've been warned, but we love them nonetheless. If you use the code initiative at checkout, you'll get 10% off any full set. And she has recently teased the next drop of sets, so if you're going there, you're going to be competing against me to get some of them. But other than that, I just want to say a very big thank you again for joining us. I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday season and New Year, But in that new year, we'll be finishing up this adventure. See you next time.